Right now, you are looking at the rarest eyes on Earth, not green. You have probably been told green is the rarest, 2% of people. That number is everywhere. It is technically true, and it is also wrong because below green, the numbers get weird. Below green, you find a color that appears in less than 1% of humans, a color scientists could not explain until very recently. But before we get there is something you need to understand. Something that changes how you see every pair of eyes you will ever meet. Eye color is not what you think it is. Here is the part that surprises most people. Your eye does not contain a single speck of blue or green or gray. There is exactly one color inside the human iris, and it is brown, a pigment called melanin, the same stuff that colors your skin and your hair. That is the entire paint set, one color, brown. So how do you get blue eyes from brown paint? When there is very little melanin in the front of your eye, light does something strange. It enters the iris, bounces around in a thin, clear layer, and scatters. The shorter blue wavelengths bounce back at you. The longer red and yellow ones pass through. It is the exact same trick that makes the sky look blue. There is no blue paint up there either, just light scattering in empty space. So when someone says you have blue eyes, what they really mean is your eyes have almost no color at all. You are seeing physics, not pigment. The genetics work like a dimmer switch, not a light switch. One main gene controls how much melanin goes into your iris. Dial it up, brown. Dial it down, blue. A handful of other genes make tiny adjustments, which is why your eyes are not exactly the same shade as anyone else's. The result is not 6 or 7 eye colors. It is a smooth spectrum, and every person sits somewhere unique on it. Brown eyes belong to roughly 8 out of every 10 people you pass today. In much of Africa, South Asia, and East Asia, it is closer to 10 out of 10. This is not an accident. Melanin is not decoration, it is protection. In the iris, it works like a built-in pair of sunglasses, absorbing harsh light before it can damage the sensitive tissue behind your eye. Near the equator, where the sun is intense all year, dense melanin was not a cosmetic choice, it was survival equipment. For the first 250,000 years of human existence, every person on Earth had brown eyes. Every fossil, every genetic trace. Brown was the only setting, which means something specific. Every other eye color you have ever seen, every blue, every green, every gray, started as a mistake, a genetic accident, a child born with eyes no one in their group had ever seen. And the oldest of those accidents happened near the Black Sea. Picture a small group of hunter-gatherers somewhere near the Black Sea, 6,000 to 10,000 years ago. Maybe a few dozen people. They do not meet many strangers. One day, a child is born with lighter eyes than anyone has ever seen. Not a dramatic difference, not supernatural, just lighter, unfamiliar. In a world where every pair of eyes anyone in that group had ever looked into was brown. This was new. In 2008, a geneticist named Hans Eiberg and his team at the University of Copenhagen set out to find what caused that change. They collected DNA from blue-eyed people across Europe and the Middle East. They found the mutation, a tiny, single-letter change in the genetic code that specifically turned down melanin in the eye and nowhere else. Then they found something that made them stop. Every blue-eyed person they tested had the exact same mutation, not a similar one. The same one, same spot, same change. That means one thing, a single shared ancestor, one person, 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, born with an accident that had never existed before. That accident did not make this person stronger or faster or more likely to survive. It was just different. And across thousands of years, through ordinary people having ordinary children, that single accident spread. Today, roughly 800 million people carry it. In 1903, a nearly complete skeleton was found in a cave in southwest England. It was 10,000 years old. They called him Cheddar Man. For over a century, everyone pictured him the same way. Pale skin, light hair, a textbook early European. Then in 2018, researchers sequenced his DNA. Cheddar Man had dark skin, quite dark, and blue eyes. That combination broke something most people had assumed without ever questioning it, the idea that pale skin and light eyes evolved together as a package, a matched set for living in places with less sun. Cheddar Man proved that is wrong. Skin color and eye color are controlled by completely separate sets of genes. They evolved at different times, for different reasons. They eventually ended up in the same populations, but they traveled separate paths to get there. Cheddar Man was a snapshot of evolution mid-stride. One part of his body had already changed. The rest had not caught up yet. Green eyes, officially the rarest of the standard eye colors, about 2% of humans, roughly 140 million people across the entire planet. Ireland and Scotland have the highest numbers. More than 80% of people in some regions carry the genes for light eyes, but globally, green is rare enough that you can go weeks without seeing it. How it works is almost too neat. Remember how blue eyes have very little melanin? Green eyes start the same way, barely any melanin in the front layer, but they add one more ingredient, a thin, yellowish pigment that sits on top. Blue light scattering from below meets yellow pigment from above. Blue plus yellow makes green. There is no green pigment in your eye. The color is math, two separate optical effects combining inside something smaller than your fingertip. And then there is gray. Gray eyes appear in less than 1% of humans. They are most common in parts of northern and eastern Europe, Estonia, Finland, western Russia, but even there they are unusual. A gray eye has even less melanin than a blue eye, but that alone does not explain it. If you put them side by side, the gray eye looks completely different, silver, almost metallic, like a storm cloud where blue should be. The difference comes down to the texture of the iris itself. Inside the iris is a layer of tiny fibers, microscopic threads that give it structure. In a blue eye, these fibers are evenly spaced. Light scatters cleanly, and blue bounces back. In a gray eye, the fibers are packed more densely and more randomly. Light hits them and scatters in a wider, messier pattern. The blue gets washed out. What remains is a cool, silver-gray tone. It is the same reason a clear sky looks blue and an overcast sky looks gray. Both are blue underneath. One just has extra stuff in the way that scatters the light differently. Less than 75 million people on Earth carry that overcast sky inside their eyes. Even rarer than a single unusual color, having two different colors in the same face. Heterochromia. Less than 1% of people. It comes in three forms. Complete, each eye a completely different color. One brown, one blue. One green, one hazel. The rarest of the three. Sectoral. A single wedge or slice of one eye is a different color from the rest, like someone painted part of it a different shade. Central. A sharp inner ring around the pupil is a different color from the outer iris, often confused with hazel, but the ring is crisp, not blended. Most heterochromia is harmless. It just means the cells that distribute melanin during early development got creative. One eye got a slightly different set of instructions than the other. At the very edge of the chart, eyes so rare they barely count. Albinism, melanin so absent that light passes straight through the eye and reflects off the blood vessels behind it, making the eye appear pink or red. And aniridia, the iris almost entirely missing, the eye appearing nearly black, not a color, the absence of the structure that creates color. None of these colors change how well you see. A brown eye and a gray eye perceive the world with the same sharpness. The only real difference, lighter eyes have less natural sun protection and more glare in bright light. And yet, eye color is one of the first things you notice about another face. Across every culture, across thousands of years, it appears in the oldest poems we have, in descriptions of gods and heroes, in the details people choose when they talk about someone they love. There is a theory, still debated, that rare traits like light eyes spread in small ancient populations not because they helped people survive, but because they helped people get noticed. Not survival of the fittest, survival of the memorable. Whatever color you see in the mirror, you are looking at a story older than writing. Every non-brown eye on Earth began as an accident, a child born with eyes no one had seen before. and those accidents were passed down, eye to eye, generation to generation, all the way to you.